Jeff here. Hope everybody's having a great day. I realize now that the time is running out. It is the middle of March, and the lottery, the VC lottery, is halfway done now because you only have till the end of March to get onto this. Now, if you're not familiar with it by now, maybe you're new, whatever, maybe you haven't heard about it. It used to be an annual thing. You know, COVID kind of messed up one of the times there one year, but I'm going to put a link below to Robert Z's channel and the basic 20-minute explanation of the contest. In a brief nutshell, just to get you interested, if you're not aware of what this is, basically we have like at least 26 people desired to be volunteers. Each one gets assigned a letter, and then everybody makes videos. Everybody makes videos, regardless of whether you're a volunteer or not. That has nothing to do with it. You volunteer if you want to volunteer. You're volunteering to send a gift to someone in the VC. You're sending VCLT. That's all you're doing. And basically, everybody makes videos. How many we get doesn't matter. And then a drawing is done, and whoever the winner is, those 26 or so volunteers, however many there are, I don't think we quite made 26 this year, but there can be latecomers. But those people that volunteered will then send a band or music-related item, t-shirt, cup, mug, anything with that letter that they were assigned to that person. So it's basically like, it used to be more closer to Christmas. It was kind of a Christmas thing, and all of a sudden they get 20 some odd, alphabetical related music items. So big pot, big winning. So anyway, I want to get on board this. I am one of the volunteers, and I have entered this the past couple years, so looking forward to doing it again. This one's going to be a little longer than usual, as you already know, because you are watching the timer. I haven't any idea how long this is going to go. I've seen Robert's response, and it's an hour and a half long. I saw Logan's response, and it was an hour long. I'm hoping I'm not going to go that long, but basically the video and the theme this year is you. It's all about you. It's all about me. It's all about me. You're going to learn a lot about me. This is, room tour videos are really cool. Some of my largest video watches have been room tours. This is going to be a room tour on steroids because it's more about me and my room. And so I'm hoping I'm not going to drag on for too long. So let's get right to this. There's a lot of different areas, there's just no rules. There's no rules. You just talk about yourself. So all kinds of areas. Briefly, I got back and I collected vinyl as a child. I am 55 years old. I collected music in the 70s. I got into music in the mid-70s. A lot of disco, a lot of Grease soundtracks, Saturday Night Fever, a lot of that stuff. Disco, Andy Gibb. I've talked about this in the past, but in a nutshell, that was me as a preteen. And then in around 78, I'm thinking it's probably closer to 78 now that I think back. So I would have been 12 years old. I discovered Kiss. A friend's sister was into them, and my friend and I listened to her sister's records. And anyway, I was intrigued. I got into Kiss. So then 1979, first concert I ever went to, not quite 13 years old. I went and saw Kiss on the Dynasty tour in July. And that was my first rock and roll concert. And then from there, tons of concerts after that, all the way up and through my high school years. So, yes, been in the music since then, bought a lot of records, had a lot of records. So it wasn't until I started seeing the boom of vinyl coming back, and I'm like, yeah, I'd be liking to get back into that, but, space and money and yada yada. I don't even have a record player anymore. And so it was finally around 2017 that I sold off a bunch of old demo cassettes of some Christian bands. And I ended up making way more money than I expected. I was basically figuring I'd get a couple $100. I get these out of the house because, when I pass, my family's not going to be stuck with all this stuff. So I started wanting to kind of clear out some of the clutter and junk, and I sold them for a lot more than I expected. So I said, you know what, I'm going to buy a record player and start buying some vinyl again. So 2017 started buying vinyl again, and 2018 started making videos in the vinyl community. My first video was a video contest entry for Ron Haggerty's contest at the time regarding space. I thought, hey, I got an album that'll show that. I made the video, and from there started making videos since then. So I've been doing them since the middle of 2018. So basically my shopping habits, that's one of the areas we can cover. My shopping habits are everywhere. I do go local. frequently, and I do try to buy frequently. But my shopping tends to do more with online stuff. Everything from Discogs to Amazon. And a lot of times I watch for prices to drop, and I'm trying to get a little more frugal and be a little more selective on what I buy. What I look for when I'm buying like used records, I'm basically looking for the actual vinyl itself to be at least very good plus. I just want it to be kind of shiny. I don't want it to have a lot of marks on it. I don't mind dirt because I can clean that. I'll show my cleaning system briefly in a second. But what I'm looking for is to find the record in great condition. I'm not a stickler when it comes to the cover. That's not, a huge deal for me. So, for instance, if I'm out and about and I'm flipping through and, again, I'm not too worried about the cover. And if the price is right, especially, I obviously I'd like to have a great cover. But I don't mind spending $2 or $3, $4 or $5 on a great album with a beat up cover. This one, for instance, I haven't even shown this one yet, but I got this from Discogs. The cover was a little worse than he described it, but I'm not too complaining. But you find Angel albums they're usually beat up and just the way they are, and so this is kind of rough. But it was like $3. It's got a little cut on it there. But the actual vinyl inside was at least very good plus. I'm going to give it a scrubbing, and it'll probably be even better looking. So to me, it's all about listening to the music, not so much cosmetic. That's why when I get a damaged item, say from Amazon or from somebody, corners bent, covers creased, as long as the record's not problem in any way, then I tend to not worry about it too much. I'm just, whatever. It is what it is. I'm not worried about the outside. Now, one of the questions he brought up is, are you a completist? Now, a completist, there's different levels of completist. I do feel like I'm a completist, but not in the extreme sense that some people are. I know some people who want every pressing of a certain album. I mean, they'll buy, this is the Russian one, and this is the one that came from Portugal, and, every Japanese, Chinese, all this. No, I'm not that. There are people that want to buy everything by a band, 7 inches, every 10 promos, this. No, I'm a catalog completist. I'm a discography completist. Bands that I'd like to have every one of their studio albums and live albums. And these are official releases. I'm not a completist that wants to go out and buy every bootleg that they have. I like bootlegs, but I'm not that kind of completist. That's why, for me, it's tough, because if I discover a new band and I really like them, now I got to get all their albums. And if they got a long discography already, if I discover a band late in their game, that stinks, because now I got to buy them. It's almost like OCD, but not too bad. So I just want to have all the studio albums. I want to have the collection of their actual albums. So I'm a sense sort of a completist, but not to the extreme that I've seen some people. Now, okay, let's talk protection. When it comes to protection, I have went back and forth. Now, my protection of choice are these type of bags, and I do like the 2 milliliter bags. Now, recently I couldn't find these. They sell these mainly at my local store, and for some reason I didn't find them online. But when I found them online, and I'm not saying I dug deep, I'm just saying, like, if I looked on Amazon, I typed in record bags, I wasn't finding those. I was finding their counterpart, same brand, but the 4 or the 3 milliliter. And so I bought some, and I like the clear, the more transparent versus the translucent. So this, I think, is the 4. And you can see it's kind of get down there. It's kind of a milky, just a little bit of a translucent, milky feel. Whereas the 2, the colors pop and is bright and everything along that line. So I really prefer these. It's not like the records get carried around and banged up so much that I feel like this 2 is going to rip versus a 4. But the way that they look, to me, I prefer that. So I do have some that are in this. I have some that are in this. A lot of times when you buy records from record companies, some of the smaller publishers, especially when they come in bags versus shrink wrap, they tend to be the heavier duty one. I don't change them out. If you look through my collection, you're going to find both. And sometimes as I'm pulling out the old ones, I may get a little, let's swap it out, and I'll swap it out sometimes. Other times I don't worry about it. So I'm not that much of a stickler. One thing I don't like about protection, I'm not a fold over. I'm not a seal, a bag, sealed bag. I don't like having to fight with those. I obviously you get the wrong kind with the stupid adhesive on the flap, and you pull the album out, you get it on the album. At least most places don't do that anymore. But the other, just as bad, you got the adhesive on the actual bag. You open the album out, you take the album out, you lay the bag down, you lay the album down. Sometimes it can lay on the adhesive. So in all cases, I get rid of those bags. I'm not worried about dust getting in the record. I'm going to clean it before I play it. So I'm not a fan of sealed bags. And so when I do get something in a sealed bag, even in music on vinyl, I get rid of that bag, cut off the hype sticker, and go. Inner sleeves, what I've done with these, and I don't have the actual package to show because I stuck them in here. I bought some inner sleeves from Walmart. They were just, in the cutout bin. And so the bag that these come in, but I buy these from Amazon. I'll put a link in the thing below. These curved bottom ones. Now the reason for that is when I get a record that is in like a white sleeve or just a paper sleeve of any kind, a lot of people will toss the paper sleeve and they'll put a whole sleeve in there, replace the sleeve, MoFi, whatever. I can just take one of these, because it's curved, it easily slides down into any inner sleeve. The record goes in there, it hits the bottom, and keeps it snug in there. There's no corners folding up, nothing that creases up inside of the other. So basically, I've turned a paper sleeve into a lined sleeve, and all I'm doing is relining it, with this inner sleeve. Same thing when you get a record that has a printed inner, that a cardboard, nice lyrics and everything on the back of that sleeve. Plop that right in. The static on those things can be nuts, and so you can't get the records in and out. I pop this in there, drop the record in there. It's anti-static, kills it, and so now the album goes in and out, and you get to retain the inner sleeve that came with the record. That's mainly it. I don't totally replace them. I realign them so that they are anti-static, and so those are the ones I use for that, and they work really well. So that's my whole protection and I tend to buy these both on Amazon. So that's protection. Let's talk about Record Store Day. A lot of people talk about this. Record Store Day, I've got mixed feelings about it, but I am for it. I go to it, I pick up records. I like the special releases. The past year or so of Record Store Day, I've gotten all kinds of good stuff. The whole King's X basic secondary catalog, and the Skid Rows and the Stripers. And I'm not a big fan of collecting Record Store Day novelties. I hate picture discs. I don't want another Record Store picture disc. I don't want another Dio 12-inch single picture disc. I don't want to see Black Sabbath on picture disc or Ozzy on picture disc. I don't want picture discs. I picked up a couple, like the Motorhead one with Girl School, that were kind of novelties in the sense that they're just not. I made the mistake of buying the AC/DC one. Why? It's a single that I've already got on the album. I don't know. It was kind of an impulse buy. I don't like things that are money grabs. I don't like that. I don't like bootleg live albums that have somehow been officially Record Store Day released but sound like garbage. There's been some stuff that's subpar. But I like reissues that come out on Record Store Day. It's frustrating because of the price. Later, it may end up coming out as a reissue, but not on the same color. I'm thinking like the Alice Cooper album, Dirty Diamonds. It was a Record Store Day, and then it later came out, 6 months later as a different color. But, I'm not saying the price is any different between those two, but sometimes people want more money for the Record Store Day version because it's different. I don't care. I don't care about all that. I don't care about color. I love colored vinyl, but I don't care. I'm not going out of my way to get the color over the black. If the black is cheaper, I'm going for the black. So a lot of times it's just sometimes the hype with Record Store Day can be irritating. A lot of the stuff I buy tends to be the stuff that not everybody else buys. And so I typically buy reissues that I want for my collection. I don't want to buy the novelties or the silly things. So I will sometimes buy them months later when you go to the record store and they've got past record store day stuff there and it's marked down. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and buy it. Like, for instance, I went to the record store this past Sunday, and they had a section like that, Record Store Day Pass, and they had that Sammy Hagar, The Circle heavy metal live single. And, you know, it was regularly $20. They had it for $11, and I almost bought it. But I'm just like, I don't need it. It's just a 12-inch single picture disc. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the money grab junk, but I am a big fan of the reissues that come out. You know, they do it on Record Store Day to get the big pull, but, you know, it can come out anytime, and I'm fine with it. So that's my thought on Record Store Day. I'm going to jump into the room tour area now. So I'm just going to stick with my vinyl record collection. A lot of my CDs, because as my vinyl has grown in this room, I had to take all of my CDs off of their shelves, move them to other places. Most of my CDs are now in boxes and stacked. And the reason being is because I have them all ripped to my computer so I can listen to them. None of my cars really have CD players anymore. So really, my CD collection is a collection. I'd like to have it displayed, but not enough room. Records have been taken over. So I put them away. And the CDs that I do have out, I'll show you in a second what those are. So let's move on to look around. First, we'll start with the records behind me. These are the new Kallax, I guess, IKEA shelves that I bought just a couple months ago. The cubes. It's basically 2 of the 8s. Sliding apart there. 2 of the 8s. So what I have now, I'm kind of, again, I don't think I have OCD, but this is just what we'll say it is. My feng shui, my desire to be somewhat organized. I'm not a big fan of records flowing from multiple shelves. I have to get over that because I really am starting to push my way into that avenue, because right now I don't like some of the way that the records are separated and, you know, separated out into these sections. But for now, it is what it is. I've been giving this some thought for a while and I just haven't made the move yet. But so top 4 cubes and then the bottom 2 here. So these top 6 cubes are all Christian hard rock and metal. This is a spacer cube because I figured this cube is eventually going to grow into here. Right now, this is just some extras that, and it's obviously you can see it's become a shelf. And then these 3 cubes, 1, 2, 3, are my pop and rock collection. Not Christian, just pop and rock, mainstream pop and rock type stuff. Everything from the Beatles to the Bee Gees to, you know, Electric Light Orchestra, everything that's not hard rock and metal in my collection go in here. These 3 underneath here, yeah, no, this is probably pretty weird, is my Christian pop and light rock. So you've got Christian pop and light rock, regular mainstream pop and light rock, and then you got Christian hard rock and metal. Down here in this cube is my small country section. As you can see, I've got the 3 Garth Brooks albums, sets, and then a handful of other ones. There's also some other like soundtrack things in there. Second block over here, we've got jazz, we've got big band, we got jazz, we've got some other stuff that's sellable or some extra records. I've got some dividers in there you can't really see, but on one side you got things that I could give away, extras, doubles, things along that line. This is my cleaning block. These are the albums that I recently showed a couple videos ago that I need to clean. Those are just some dividers. And then again, we already showed this. So this has become a mess. My wife hates this. She wanted this area to stay clean. These are CDs that I'm selling or about to sell. These are ones that just recently came in that I showed in a recent video that I have not put away yet. Same with those and same with those. Those are some books. I've been doing some stuff that I need to finish up because I'm running out of time. Now, one thing I wanted to mention. So if you notice, these are all flush and then these sink back. Now, there's a reason for that, but it's not intentional right now. So obviously people who have these Kallax systems, they always talk about how they hate the fact that the records go all the way back like this. And so in some advantages, you have a shelf here, but this gets in the way. So you don't really want a shelf. But people have buy those spacers that basically go in the back of the shelf so that the records only go so far back. I looked into that and almost bought them, but then I was going and searching for do-it-yourself ways, and I've seen people do things like buy those foam noodles that you swim in the pool with, and then you cut a piece of foam noodle this length, shove it in the back. That keeps the records because they're all pretty standard. I didn't go that route because even those cost money. And so I found another one where basically, and this is the reason these don't have them, is because I haven't acquired the box yet. But you, this is not the right box. But when you buy records, if you buy records in boxes that are the kind, you can get them from your local record store too. And my record store said they'd let me have some, but then I never went and acquired them. But they come in boxes that hold like 25 records. This is not that kind of box. This is a shipper box, but it'll work for the example. They're like about 2-3 inches. They have different sizes, and so you want to kind of get the same size, which is why these are not all done. But basically, it's a box the size of the album. Record companies ship them to the record stores in those. I get them in the mail all the time when I get orders. And so I do accumulate them, and I have, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm just looking to get some more as they come in because I want to get them all the same size. But essentially, all you do is you get that box, you do whatever you want to do, and then you take that box, you shove it into the back, and that's a spacer for you. So now, some people don't like that because you can see it. So if the records, you can see back there, there's a brown box. You don't see it here because the records are pretty tight in there. So yes, if you had one that's only partially full, you are going to see it. It's the price you pay for saving money. There you go. Do it yourself. Kallax spacers. All you gotta do is accumulate the boxes, and you can even get a couple shipping boxes and get 2 or 3 and shove them back there until you got the right distance. The regular ones bring it to right to the front here, and that's the way that goes. Then we roll over to this side. These are the only CDs that I've got out displayed right now. These shelves, I had nowhere to put them yet, and I haven't enough boxes. But anyway, this is all Christian rock and metal. So this is just, and the reason I kept these out versus the non-Christian rock and metal was mainly because when I do on the side write for Heaven's Metal Magazine, I have to access some of this stuff sometimes to pull out for various things. So I do have those still readily available because I have to use them for other features and things along that line. So, and then we move over here, and this is a kind of an overflow shelf. I've had to do a lot of rearranging, and so this is what it has become, sort of the overflow. This is the 12 inches, the picture discs, the stuff I was talking about. There goes a hat. Yeah, there's the Motorhead 10-inch picture disc I was talking about. So these are my 12-inch novelty picture discs, my 10-inch albums. Let me get in here. 10-inch records. Again, hey, record store day, 10-inch. That's the other thing about, I like record store day things if they're, not just rehashing the same old stuff, kind of neat stuff. 10 inches, 10 inches. And then my 7 inches, I don't do a lot of collecting of 7 inches. They tend to be things that are, specials. They're things that are not anywhere else. I don't buy singles just to buy singles, though I do have a handful. These are just CDs that I have yet to put in those boxes that are fairly recent. Some of these are things for sale. Some of these are things just setting out. These are my box sets. Some of them are CD box sets. Some of them are these art book sets that have CDs and DVDs. Some of them are just typical CD box sets. These are the empty box sets for albums that are on my shelf. You've seen some of these shown, Def Leppard, Michael Schenker. A lot of these are empty. The albums themselves, this one's not. This one's got all the albums inside there. This has the album inside there. This has the album inside there. But most of them, I take the albums out, put them on the shelf, which we will move over to that shelf now. This is a picture I painted recently. We did that thing where you go and you paint pictures yourself. And, ooh, look at that. Ooh, I painted this picture like 2-3 weeks ago. Ooh, neat, huh? I can show you over here. This is my wife's version. She copied me. Ooh, we did it as a family thing. We kind of bought tickets for it at Christmas, and we finally got around to do it. So anyway, I'm not a painter, but it's my own little world. All right, and then over here, get down where I can show this. This is going to be the section where most everything of the just mainstream hard rock and metal are here. So this is all the typical bands, and it goes from A to there. And so again, I can't fit everything on here as it used to fit on here as it grows. So it goes around here to like S, and then it goes up here and ends right there. Then, so this goes to White Snake, and what do we got here? What is the last record? Would be the first or second. More dividers. Get in there. Y and T. So I don't have any zebra or anything with the Z, but I got Y's. Then, now, I pulled these out for two reasons. Mainly because this shelf was getting full. And so before this shelf actually overflowed to this shelf, I took all of these out to keep it from overflowing. These are what I call new bands that are fairly recent. Now the reason I pulled them out is A, to get them out of this section, which I call the classic rock and metal. It's got some new bands in it too, but these are newer bands. Secondly, I put them out here so that I can remember to listen to them more. We know the classics. We've listened to the classics probably for 20 years. But hey, let's not intermingle these necessarily and forget about the fact that we've got a lot of the new bands. A lot of this stuff are things that I got from the Metalhead box, things like that I've discovered. You know, you got Leather Duchess and Liquid Tension. They're fairly, and what I call new are bands technically from like the last 20 years. My Silent Wake. Here's that Mullet album that I had. And there's two shelves of these that go down to here. You know, the Winery Dogs, Witherfall, Watchers. So it's just a lot of the, you know, Sweet Oblivion bands that have come out in the past like 20 years. Now, that ends right here at this divider, which is a cardboard thing you can't really see. And these are all, this is where my new albums go that I'm still playing before I file them away in one of these sections. So this is the new albums. They get played over here. This is my turntable. This is one of the new albums that I haven't put away yet. I haven't shown this in a video either. Battle Axe, We're on the Attack. I was playing that a few minutes ago, and then I thought I'd stop and make this video. I am not a super audiophile. I have a typical Audio Technica. It's a USB one. I don't connect it to the USB unless I want to record an album to my computer to make it digital, which is rare. About the Ortophone Red, I have a component system which I've had for quite a while. It's I think it's a 100-watt JVC. I've got a double disc CD player that can record CD to CD. I've got a Blu-ray player, which is your typical $30 or whatever. I bought this recently at a thrift store, a VHS, so that I can pull out my old VHS tapes. I'm hoping one day to hook them up to the computer and transfer them. And then I've got a tape deck that is a side-to-side record also. Most of these I've had for quite a few years, and I pulled them all back out and put them together when I bought the record player. So it's nothing fancy. I have some Bose speakers that are really dusty. Wow. Okay. Up here we have some DVDs and stuff. This is mostly Dream Theater. And then there's some box sets here also, Def Leppard and Ayreon. That's just an album cover that got split, and they sent me a new one, so I put it up there for artwork. So this is basically, and as you can tell, I've got a lot of books. This is my drum set, the electronic kit I took apart. I'm going to bring that back in here. More books. This is my actual real drum set that I need to take for my next gig, probably this weekend. Anyway, so this is the way that the records are set. Now, my thoughts are that what I want to do is I want to put the new bands back into this, which is going to basically just cause these shelves to intermingle and expand to there. And what I'd really like to do is mix the Christian hard rock and metal back in with this. But the problem I think is going to happen with this is then it's going to start here, and it's going to go all the way to here. It's going to come over to here. It's going to go over there, and then it's going to end up going over here. I tried to see if I could bring all of this and all of this into the cubes, but there's just no way. Even if I took out the rock and stuff, there's no way it would all fit here. So then it would have to flow somewhere else, and that's where the OCD irritation kicks in, because then it would flow to here, and then where? And then it would go to the left and go over to there. or go over to here. I don't know. I'm so frustrated. But yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. Hey, look, some more Angel. Angel's one of those bands where it's like, hey, do they go here or do they go into the pop and rock section? But hey, they went over here because I consider them classic rock. All right, enough with this. Okay, so let's talk record cleaning real briefly. Everybody has their ways of doing it. I don't have any fancy machines. I don't have any of those, auto spin cleaners. Way back when I first got into buying records, I went online and found a lot of the do-it-yourself people talking about how to do it. I can't find those videos now. Some of the ones that I'm like, now what did he say about that? And I go back to look and it's not there anymore. So back when I first got into watching the various vinyl community videos, there were a handful of people that initially I found. Scott Waters is the first. He was what brought me to this whole world. Only because I knew Scott basically from Ultimatum, his band, things like that. And so I think I first discovered him. He at one point in a video early on mentioned somebody named Ron Haggerty. So I bounced over, found Ron, found out we had a lot in common, a lot of musical tastes in common also. I started watching his stuff, which is why I did a video for him when I first did a video. Then I started looking for other people. And I found Oddbox Topper, which he's the one that showed this particular recipe, which I'm not even sure 100% I'm still doing the correct way because I can't find his video on it any longer. But I'll show you what he showed. I took notes at that time and went out and bought the stuff. It's basically a system using a little bit of alcohol with a little bit of dish, the anti-grease stuff, the blue stuff you squirt in there, a little bit of cleaner, a little bit of that rinsing agent, and it's two steps. So you got the one bottle here that you spray to clean, and then we use these typical paint scraper things that are they're really soft, and so this stays in the groove, and you clean it with that. Then you wipe them down with, you have a combination of these, basically the car wax things. This one to do more absorbing, but when it comes to polishing, these really soft ones for polishing, you do that, and you use these, which are the waxers. I use this. I put this on the center of the album to hold the album while I use the scrubber and scrub around it, and so that's kind of the center holder. And I do have one of these to squeegee it off. I tend to squeegee it off, then I absorb it the first time around. Then I go back and rinse it with the rinsing agent. And then I scrape it with that again, different scraper. So we got a cleaning and we got a rinsing. So this one basically is getting the cleaning and the soap and stuff off of the record. You wipe that down real good with the rinsing agent. Again, you can squeegee it with one of these. And then I will wipe it, a couple times with this. This one's a little more coarse, but it's more absorbent. And then once I feel like most of the water's off, I'll go back with this and just polish. It makes it really shiny because this is the real soft thing. And that's it. It's a simple procedure. Yeah, I'd love to have one of those fancy, cleaning boxes, but this works, and it's only, pennies per record. So that's my cleaning procedure, and I do it periodically. I'm not one of the ones that cleans every record that comes in. I'm not one of the ones that cleans every brand new record I got. Some people are stickler with that. I probably could. I'll get a brand new album and I'll put it on. I will, I have the duster that I dust every album when I go through. So I'll do that. And if the album sounds a little dirty or popping or whatever for a brand new release, I will take it off and I will put it through the cleaning system. But usually the cleaning system is for used records, definitely for thrift store type stuff, things from Discogs that I get from people who come in looking a little rough. And I've had really good success with some of these. I have seen some albums that I'm just like, wow, it's just horrible looking. And then I put it through the cleaning thing and I'm like, wow, it's so shiny. I've never tried the wood glue situation. I haven't had an album so bad to do that. I've seen a lot of people do that with the wood glue, where you put the wood glue on, let it dry, and then pull it off. Sounds like an interesting concept, and if I had an album that really would require that, I definitely would try that. So anyway, that's it for cleaning. Let's talk influencers. When I got on board, like I said, I discovered Scott Waters, Ron Haggerty, Oddbox Topper, and Bobby Z was one of the ones that early on, because when I first made a video, I was watching his stuff, and when I first made a video, I had maybe within that week saw a Bobby Z rant against the VC and the drama and the problems and the issues and the fights and the aggravation, and I'm just like, what? And I commented and said, I just made a video. I just joined the VC. And he was like, well, don't take everything I say as, some of it's tongue in cheek, but he says, there can be some bad stuff. So, and then I kept hearing other people talk about the bad side of the VC and the drama and the attacks and the fighting. And I'm like, wow. And I have to say, I've been in it now since 2018. So we are pushing now 4 years. And I haven't seen any of that yet. I've only had one or two what I would call challenging / semi-negative comments. And they were very mild. I've never seen the drama as far as against me. So I have been fortunate in that aspect. The only drama I have seen is on other people's boards, and even then, it's been very hit and miss. I've seen younger kids, younger girls, teenage girls showing records, and they have a Crosley or they have a Victrola. And I've seen people attack them, and I'm like, I just can't. Why would somebody, and typically probably somebody my age who, you would think you would know better. These people, when I was a teenager, I had a piece of crap record player with a penny taped to the needle. I would look at that and say, there's no way I would do that now. That would totally screw up the record, putting a penny on there. But hey, it stopped it from skipping. We didn't know or care about that. It was a junky player, and it played. Yeah, it probably did some damage to the records, but it's all I had. It's all I could afford. These are kids who are getting into records. They're going to Walmart. Their parents are buying them a $50 Victrola or a Crosley. They're bringing it home. I had one of those when I first got into it. I picked up one of those suitcase ones. It lasted all of about 2 months before I realized I'm not playing my records on this. But the speakers were garbage. It had plug-in speakers. That was garbage. I just didn't like the sound quality. But it was all that these people can afford. You don't attack them. They are where we were when we were kids. I could not go out and buy an Audio-Technica system for $300 when I was a teenager. These teenagers cannot. But they're buying records. I'm surprised they can buy the records at $30, $40 a pop. But they're buying records. They're appreciating music in physical format. They're appreciating vinyl music. And yeah, their system is not up to par, but you don't attack them. And yet people are attacking them and criticizing them, and you're going to screw your records up, and you shouldn't play like that. You shouldn't lay your records down. You shouldn't stand your records up. People, take a breath. But I haven't seen it enough. But when Bobby did that video, it scared me a bit because I'm like, what have I got myself into? Is this going to be Drama Central? I have been very fortunate to have nothing but a group of people around that have shown love. And, it's been the most satisfying 4 years. Because I tell you what, I have no friends. Okay, let me finish that sentence. I have no friends that are into this. I have no friends to talk to about this. I have no friends that collect music. I have no friends that know about the deeper, darker bands. My wife even is like, who is that band you're listening to? And I mentioned to him, hey, they've been around for 30 years. I've never heard of them. Of course you haven't, honey, because you're not listening to that kind of stuff. But I have no friends that listen to this kind of stuff. I have no bands that share this kind of stuff with. Literally, my YouTube channel is a type of therapy for me. If nobody listens, I don't care. I'm talking and getting this stuff of goofy knowledge of music out of my system. And fortunately, I have found now, upwards of 1,000 people that have at least clicked the button, but, a couple hundred that watch and comment. So again, my therapy maybe gets used for, other people to learn things, and people are like, wow, I've never heard that band. So that's the whole reason. So influencers, everybody that I watch, I have tried so many, but I can't say that any particular person has influenced me. I see things that people show and they talk up, and I'm like, I've never checked that band out. and I go check them out. And sometimes I'll buy based on that. I did a video recently on influences. I showed a bunch of albums that I bought because Matt at the Accusation Network showed them, and he talked them up. I do that all the time. Aaron, Muta Alamere, talks up stuff. And I'm like, I never heard of that band. Let's go check them out. The Four Horsemen. I mentioned that the other day. There's so many bands that are on either my wish list or are in my record collection because I've seen other people talk about them. You've got bands that other people really, really, really like that you never were into, that maybe you start listening to them rant and rave about it and you start checking them out. You've got all these people that like all of these specific bands and you're like, maybe I should give them a little more, of a listen. So I will say a lot of my records have come from, a lot of my one-offs and stuff have come from that. I don't go out and look for a specific band. I kind of have determined that I'm going to buy records when I run across them. So a lot of times, rather than just go online and track down an album, I'm like, well, when I run into the wild, I'll know that it's time to buy it if it's in good condition. So a lot of that. Well, anyway, look, I'm going to stop. There's so much that we could talk about. I like music. I like all kinds of music. I have all kinds of styles of music, and I'm learning more and more from the BC. And I hope that this has been in some way interesting enough to watch to this point. Jump on board with this lottery. We've got like 2 weeks left. It ends in the end of March. And jump on board and get involved, and let's get some big prizes going. And, of course, if you don't do a video and if you don't get involved, then my chances of winning the 20 some odd pieces of prize is that much higher. So maybe don't do anything. So, well, anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I'll be back and I will see you later. Rock on and rock hard.